After being forced into a matrilocal marriage with a wealthy family, I ended up with a wife who has a wildly unpredictable temper. At the company, she forces me to keep my distance, and whenever I'm being given a hard time, she just stands there and watches coldly. I always thought she absolutely despised me, until the day I made a close female friend. In the middle of the night, she pushed open my door, and asked with a fake smile, "Jibata, do you have a new lover?" The next second, she grabbed me tightly by the collar, and said through gritted teeth, "Jibata, isn't messing with just me enough for you?" 3 years ago, when my younger sister had end-stage kidney failure and I was driven to a dead end, the eldest daughter of the Liu group, Ruen, threw a contract at me, 500,000 yuan to buy you as a live-in son-in-law. The day I stepped into the Liu family home, she coldly laid down the rules. When we're outside, don't say you know me, don't touch my things, they'll get dirty. I nodded in agreement. I went to work at the Liu group, as a lowly sales rep at the bottom of the sales department. Meanwhile, Ruen was the high and mighty CEO. At the company, she truly treated me like a total stranger, or even worse. I checked my bank card, and there was only a measly 2,000 yuan. I was still 10,000 yuan short for my sister's dialysis next week. When I rushed to the finance department, I was stopped by the sales manager, Chu Feifan. "Jibata, your sales were dead last month. Is there a problem with deducting your KPI points?" Chu Feifan was Liu Ruyen's right-hand man, and also her senior from college. The whole company knew he was pursuing Liu Ruen. "You clearly stole that order from me." I clenched my fists. Chu Feifan sneered, and viciously splashed his hot coffee right onto me. "Stole from you? Who the hell do you think you are?" The surrounding colleagues burst into laughter. I gritted my teeth and stood still. I couldn't afford to lose this job. The crowd parted, and the sound of high heels echoed. Liu Ruen walked over, her gaze sweeping over my pathetic state, then stopping on Chu Feifan's face. "What's going on?" Her voice was cold. "CEO Liu." Jibata dared to talk back to his superior. I was just teaching him a little lesson. Chu Feifan smiled sycophantically. I looked at Liu Ruen, a glimmer of hope flashing in my eyes. If only she would say a single word. But she looked away, her voice completely devoid of emotion. "You dirty the carpet. Deduct 500 yuan for the cleaning fee." After saying that, she turned and walked away. I stood frozen in place, a chill running through my entire body. After work, I went to the hospital covered in coffee stains. Pushing open the ward door, my sister was holding a girl's hand, laughing and chatting happily. That girl was wearing a white dress, her eyes unfocused. She was blind. Her name was Su Nuan, a volunteer at the hospital. "Brother, you're here." My sister called out to me. Hearing the voice, Su Nuan turned her head and fumbled to hand me a tissue. "You smell bitter? Wipe it off." Her voice was very soft, like a ray of light. I took the tissue, my nose suddenly stinging. For the past 3 years, working like a dog in the Liu family, living worse than a stray at the company, this was the first time someone cared if I was suffering. "Thank you," I said hoarsely. That night, Su Nuan and I talked for a long time. Even though she couldn't see, her heart was purer than anyone else's. When I walked out of the hospital, the night wind was freezing. I pulled out my phone, looked at the balance on my bank card, and made a decision. This live-in son-in-law gig, I quit. It was late at night when I returned to the Liu family villa. The living room lights were off. I had just changed my shoes, when the red glow of a cigarette tip flashed on the sofa. Liu Ruen sat in the dark. "Where have you been?" Her voice was ice cold. "The hospital." I walked upstairs. "I'm asking you, who is that blind bitch?" She suddenly stood up, blocking my path. I looked up in shock. Did she have someone follow me? A friend. I squeezed past her. "A friend?" Liu Ruen sneered, grabbing my arm tightly. "Jibata, have you forgotten your place? Does a dog I bought even deserve to make friends?" The anger I had suppressed for 3 years completely exploded in this moment. I forcefully shook off her hand. "Liu Ruen, haven't you caused enough of a scene?" She froze. In 3 years, I had never raised my voice at her. I pulled a crumpled piece of paper from my pocket and slammed it onto the coffee table. "This is a divorce agreement. I'll pay you back that 500,000 in installments." Liu Ruen looked down at those words. Under the dim light, I couldn't clearly see her expression. I only heard a very faint scoff. "Ria." She tore the agreement to shreds right in front of me, throwing the scraps of paper all over the floor. "You want a divorce?" She pressed close to me, poking her finger hard into my chest. "Jibata, do you really think you can escape?" The next day at the company, my desk was gone. Chu Feifan threw a broom at me. "CEO Liu has spoken. From today on, you're cleaning the toilets." He smiled maliciously. I didn't bother picking up the broom, turned around, and walked straight to the CEO's office. Pushing the door open, Liu Ruen was sitting behind her desk signing documents. "Liu Ruen, what is the meaning of this?" I tried to suppress my anger. She didn't even bother to look up. "If you're not happy, you can get lost, but the breach of contract fee is 5 million yuan. My whole body jolted. That live-in son-in-law contract clearly stated, unilaterally tearing up the contract would require paying 10 times the amount. Where the hell was I supposed to dig up 5 million yuan? She looked up, her eyes full of mockery. "Jibata, hurry up and go clean the toilets. Don't make me repeat myself." I glared at her fiercely. This was my wife in name only. I spun around and left, slamming the door behind me. I didn't go clean the toilets, but left the company directly and found a part-time job delivering food. No matter how hard or exhausting it was better than being a fawning dog under Liu Ruen. At noon, I took an order, delivering it to a blind massage parlor. The person who opened the door was Su Nuan. "Jibata, is that you?" She recognized my voice. I helped her set out the food. She fumbled and grabbed my hand, pressing an apple into it. "Your hands are so cold, eat up." I looked at her gentle smile, and a corner of the ice in my heart seemed to melt. Right at that moment, the sharp clicking of high heels came from outside the door. I turned my head, and Liu Ruen was standing there. She was wearing an expensive designer trench coat, completely out of place in this rundown massage parlor. Her gaze was pinned on the hand Su Nuan was using to hold mine, her eyes cold enough to kill. "Jibata, you've got some nerve." She stepped inside, her leather shoes stepping on the wooden floor, as if stepping on my heart. "Liu Ruen, what are you doing here?" I shielded Su Nuan behind me. Liu Ruen glanced at Su Nuan and gave a cold smirk. "To catch you cheating. What else? Let's see how my good husband has been sneaking around behind my back." Su Nuan trembled all over, hurriedly letting go of my hand. "Husband." Her face went pale. "Shut up." I roared at Liu Ruen. "If you have a problem, take it out on me. Don't touch her." Liu Ruen narrowed her eyes. She suddenly raised her hand. Slap. A resounding slap landed squarely on my face. "You dare raise your voice at me for a blind bitch." The slap was so hard, I tasted the metallic tang of blood in my mouth. Su Nuan was so scared she burst into tears, fumbling to pull me outside. Liu Ruen shoved Su Nuan hard in disgust. Su Nuan lost her balance and fell hard to the ground, her palms scraped and bleeding. Nuan. I hurriedly helped her up. Liu Ruen looked down at us from above, her eyes like she was looking at two pathetic ants. "Jibata, if I don't see you cleaning the toilets at the company tomorrow, this parlor will be forcibly demolished." After saying that, she turned and walked away. I clenched my fists tightly, my nails digging deep into my flesh. Not wanting to drag Nuan into this, I returned to the company the next day, grabbed a broom, and went into the restroom. Chu Feifan brought a few of his lackeys to the restroom, intentionally throwing cigarette butts on the floor and making me pick them up. I endured it. as long as I could earn money for my sister's dialysis. But I underestimated Ruen's cruelty. In the afternoon, the hospital called. Mr. G, your sister's ward has been cancelled, and all her future treatments have been completely cancelled as well. You need to come see this right away. I rushed to the hospital like a madman. My sister's luggage was thrown haphazardly in the hallway. She was sitting in her wheelchair, sobbing uncontrollably. What the hell is going on? I grabbed the doctor by the collar. The doctor smiled bitterly. Mr. G, CEO Lu called personally. There's nothing we can do. Snap. A nerve in my brain snapped. Ruen. She wanted to cut off my sister's only lifeline. I arranged for my sister to stay temporarily in a small motel, then immediately stormed back to the Lu family villa, radiating murderous intent. Bang. I kicked the front door open. Ruen was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, holding a glass of wine. Seeing me, she raised an eyebrow. Finished cleaning the toilets? I lunged forward, snatched the wine glass from her hand, and smashed it to pieces on the floor. Ruen, if you have a problem, come at me. Why did you go after my sister? My eyes were bloodshot, like a wild beast gone mad. She stood up, glaring back at me without flinching. That's the consequence of your disobedience. I'll kill you. I completely lost my mind, my hands wrapping tightly around her throat, pinning her fiercely against the wall. The humiliation of the past 3 years, the fury in this moment, all poured out. My grip grew tighter and tighter. Ruen's face flushed red, her breathing ragged. But she didn't struggle at all. She did not struggle. Instead, she looked at me, a twisted smile slowly forming on her lips. That smile carried a sense of hysteria. She struggled to raise her hand, not to pry my fingers off her throat, but to gently stroke my cheek. Her eyes were hazy, her voice hoarse like a demon crawling out of hell. Harder, Jibata. Choke me to death. That way, you'll never ever forget me. I was startled, my grip unconsciously loosening a bit. The next second, she turned the tables, grabbing my collar and slamming me back against the wall. Her hot breath hit my face, the corners of her eyes flushed with a sickly red. Did you think I made you my live-in husband, just to torture you? She viciously bit down hard on my lip, the metallic taste of blood instantly spreading between our lips. Jibata, 10 years ago, when you carried me on your back and rushed out of that sea of fire. This life already belonged to you. You want to run far away with that blind bitch. Keep dreaming. Even if I, Ruen, go to hell, I'm dragging you down with me. The sharp pain on my lip shot straight to my brain along with the smell of fresh blood. The sea of fire 10 years ago. My head was buzzing. From the depths of my memory, the fire at the orphanage suddenly surged into my mind. That little girl with a face covered in soot and ash, Openg Jujik, 94 Ko Za Sug, 9103 Song Veg, was actually Ruen. The torture over the past 3 years wasn't the arrogance of a wealthy heiress at all, but a sickeningly obsessive desire to possess me, born from an extreme lack of security. She used the most vicious methods, trying to tie me tightly to her side. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you mute? Ruen released my lips, her hands gripping my collar tightly, her chest heaved violently, her eyes red. Your life is mine. Your sister's life was also given by me. Without me, you two would have died on the streets a long time ago. She continued to use venomous words to provoke me, trying to use this strong disguise to cover up the sheer terror deep in her eyes. She thought I would be like I was 3 years ago, bowing my head and silently enduring the humiliation, and then, for the sake of my sister's medical bills, grovel and beg her once again. But right at this moment, a cold mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my head. Beep. Detected host facing extreme Yandere oppression. Emotional value has reached its limit. Absolute conquest system successfully bound. Novice gift pack has been distributed. Do you wish to open it? I froze for a second, then roared in my mind. Open it. Ding. Congratulations to the host for receiving. Potential enhancement card. Permanent. Congratulations to the host for receiving. Passive skill. Overlord's aura. Congratulations to the host for receiving 30% absolute controlling shares of the Lu group. All related documents have been stored in the system space. A violent surge of heat instantly coursed through my body. My body, originally weak from days of hard labor, was now filled with explosive power. My bones let out a series of crackling sounds, and muscle definition quietly bulged beneath my clothes. My gaze changed, no longer that of a weak, submissive live-in son-in-law. Ruen was still screaming like a maniac. Jibata, tomorrow, you will go kneel in the company lobby for me. I'll make everyone watch you clean the toilets. I have to make you understand that you can only rely on me. You will never escape the palm of my hand for the rest of your life. I burst out laughing, the sound echoing piercingly through the empty villa. Ruen's screaming suddenly stopped. She furrowed her brows tightly, a flash of panic crossing her eyes. What are you laughing at? Are you crazy? She raised her hand, about to slap me again. I didn't dodge. The moment the slap came down, I suddenly raised my hand. My large hand, like a vice, accurately caught her wrist. What are you doing? Let go. Ruen struggled with all her might. The strength she was always so proud of was now in front of me, like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. I just applied a little force, and she gasped in pain. Ruen, are you done throwing your tantrum? My voice was deep, carrying an irresistible sense of oppression. The Overlord's aura fully erupted, the air in the living room seemingly freezing solid. Ruen looked at me in disbelief. Was this still the coward she could mold however she pleased? I didn't give her a chance to catch her breath. Taking a fierce step forward, I turned the tables, grabbing her and spinning her around, twisting both her arms behind her back. Bam. I pinned her hard against the cold wall. The absolute physical dominance of a man was vividly and completely displayed in this moment. Her soft body was pinned down by me, unable to move an inch. Jibata. Do you have a death wish? She shrieked, a hint of panic finally creeping into her voice. Let me go. Believe me, I'll cut off your sister's medication tomorrow. Don't you dare. I pressed close to her ear, my voice as cold as a glacier, reaching out one hand to tightly grip her chin, forcing her to turn her head and look at me. My gaze was full of aggression, staring intently at my prey. Ruen, do you think I'm actually afraid of you? You use torment to keep me around, and use humiliation to prove your existence. You're not just a lunatic. You're a pathetic bug utterly starved for love. I emphasize every word, like sharp knives stabbing straight into her heart. Ruen's pupils contracted. Her icy disguise of 3 years was completely shattered by my few words. You're talking nonsense. I am not. She shook her head frantically, tears falling uncontrollably. The high and mighty female CEO was now like a hedgehog stripped of all its quills. I order you. I tightened my grip, squeezing her chin until it turned pale. Call right now and restore my sister's VIP ward. Get all the best doctors back. If she loses even a single hair, I'll hold you responsible. Ruen gasped heavily for air. She looked into my aggressive eyes, and her Yandere defenses, in the face of absolute power, were instantly pierced through. Not only did she not get angry, but her usually pale cheeks actually flushed with a twisted, excited pink. Her breathing became rapid and hot. Her eyes were no longer cold, but lingered with a clingy, affectionate gaze. You're so mean to me. Her voice trembled, carrying a sick, twisted excitement. You're finally looking at me. You're finally not avoiding me anymore. Seeing her like this, a chill ran down my spine. She truly is a crazy woman from head to toe. Make the call. I barked loudly. I'll call. I'll call right now. She nodded obediently, her body melting like a puddle of water. I let go of her hand, and she took the chance to fall right into my arms, wrapping her arms tightly around my waist. She pulled out her phone and dialed the hospital director right in front of me. Director Lee, move Miss G back to the top floor VIP ward for me. Deduct all expenses from my personal account. Yes, arrange it immediately. Hanging up the phone, she looked up at me, her cheeks flushed blood red, her eyes hazy. Hubby, I did it. Are you satisfied? I shoved her away. Tomorrow morning at 8, you will personally go to the hospital and apologize to my sister. If my sister doesn't forgive you, you'll face the consequences. Ruen slumped onto the sofa. She wasn't angry at all, but stared infatuatedly at my back. Yes, I'll go apologize. As long as you don't leave me, I'll do whatever you want. She even grabbed the glass I had just drank from, pressing it against her face in a sick, twisted way, muttering, you are mine. No one can take you away. I didn't even bother giving her another glance, turning my back and heading straight up to the second floor. Pushing open the bedroom door, I let out a heavy breath of stale air. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the first suppression, shattering the psychological defenses of the Yandere female lead. Distributing rewards. Reward 1. 10 million yuan in cash, transferred to the host's bank card ending in 9,527. Source of funds, absolutely legal. Reward 2. 30% shadow shares of the Lu Group. The host is now the largest shareholder of the group. Reward 3. Absolute personnel dismissal rights. Can bypass any procedures once, to directly fire any employee in the group. Looking at the golden text appearing on the system panel, I clenched my fists, my knuckles cracking. 3 years. This suffocating anger pent up in my chest has finally been half vented. I walked over to the window, looking out at the pitch black night outside, Chu Feifan's arrogant face flashing in my mind, along with the faces of those snobs in the company who kissed up to the higher-ups and trampled on the weak. In the past, for my sister's dialysis money, I could only let them trample on me like a dog. Now that I have the system, and hold in my hands, the trump cards to turn the entire Lu Group upside down. Lu Ruen, our game has only just begun. What you owe me, what those who humiliated me owe me. I will take it all back with interest, every single bit. Early the next morning, sunlight pierced through the gap in the curtains, illuminating the room. I changed into clean clothes and went downstairs. The scene downstairs made me stop in my tracks. Lu Ruen had actually woken up very early, standing neatly dressed in the living room, completely devoid of her usual domineering female CEO demeanor. She had changed into an incredibly gentle white dress, her soft hair cascading down to her shoulders, even wearing light makeup that made her look incredibly pitiful. Seeing me come down, her eyes lit up and she immediately acted like a little girl vying for favor, running over to greet me, carrying an exquisite thermos lunchbox in her hand. Hubby, you're awake. I personally simmered chicken soup for 3 hours. Take it later to nourish our sister's body. Her voice was coquettish, her gaze even more moist and clingy. I glanced at her coldly, not bothering to take the lunchbox. Put away your hypocritical face, and go to the hospital to apologize properly. Don't try any tricks. If you make my sister suffer even the slightest grievance, I won't let you off. Not only did Lu Ruen not get angry, but she obediently and continuously nodded. I know. Hubby, I promise to make our sister forgive me. I'll take care of her like my own biological sister. This obedient and submissive look of hers, if the high-level executives in the company saw it, their eyeballs would probably drop to the floor. Who would have thought the decisive and ruthless iceberg female chairwoman was actually a masochist to the bone? I didn't bother paying attention to her anymore, walking straight out the door and hailed a cab straight to the Lu Group. Today, there's still a debt to settle with that bastard Chu Feifan who threw hot coffee at me and forced me to clean the toilets. Half an hour later, I walked through the gates of the Lu Group. As soon as I stepped into the sales department office area, the noisy office suddenly fell dead silent. Over a dozen pairs of eyes simultaneously locked onto me, carrying undisguised mockery and contempt. Oh my, isn't this our sweeping monk Jibata? A piercing voice broke the silence, the voice of Team Leader of Sales, Team 2, Wang Chang, calling out in a sarcastic, mocking tone. Right after, Chu Feifan from the director's office slowly walked out, holding a freshly brewed cup of coffee in his hand, with a smirking face, followed by a few lackeys, who usually loved kissing up to him the most. Jibata, you still have the nerve to show your face at the company. Chu Feifan walked up to me, looking down at me from his high horse. President Lu already gave the word yesterday. If you don't lick the entire company's toilets clean, then get the hell out, and pay 5 million for breaching the contract. What's up? You didn't even bother grabbing a broom today, planning to just go lick them directly. He deliberately brought the coffee cup close to my face, the hot steam blowing right in my face. Do you need me to reward you with another cup of hot coffee, to help wake you up? The surrounding colleagues immediately burst into laughter. Director Chu, why waste your breath on this piece of trash? Just make him go clean the toilets already. Him standing here is stinking up the whole place. Being a deadbeat to this extent, he's truly a disgrace to men. If I were him, I would have jumped off a building a long time ago. All sorts of vicious, sarcastic remarks surrounded me. Chu Feifan looked at me smugly. He raised his hand and patted my cheek. Not hard, but extremely humiliating. Hear that, trash? Now get the hell out of here and grab a broom. He waited to see me bow my head and admit my mistake like usual, then turn away in humiliation. But I remained rooted to the spot, not moving an inch. My cold gaze sweeping over these jumping clowns. In the system space, the document for the 30% absolute controlling shares of the Lu Group was flashing with a golden light. The absolute personnel dismissal rights button had also lit up. I looked at Chu Feifan's punchable face and sneered. Chu Feifan, you don't know yet, do you? Your biggest backer, the one you've been desperately chasing, that high and mighty Lu Ruen, was pinned against the wall by me last night and completely submitted. And today, you lot, those of you used to riding roughshod over me, are about to get a taste of what true despair is. Are you crazy? Or just deaf? Chu Feifan violently threw the broom at my feet, pointing right at my nose and cursing loudly. If you don't pick up this broom, I'll make sure you leave here on a stretcher. I glanced at the broom on the ground, lifted my foot and stomped on it. With a crack, the wooden broom handle was snapped in half under my foot. Splinters flew everywhere. The entire scene fell into a dead silence. Team leader Wang Chang's eyes bulged, pointing at me like he'd seen a ghost. Jibata, you're rebelling, daring to destroy company property. Chu Feifan laughed out of sheer anger. Fine, very well. He waved his hand forcefully, shouting towards the door. Security, drag this piece of trash into the bathroom for me. 4 burly security guards rushed into the sales office, brandishing rubber batons in their hands, charging aggressively toward me. I looked at them with cold eyes. The power from the physical enhancement card was surging through my veins. The leading guard reached out to grab my shoulder. I flipped my hand, locked his wrist, and gave it a hard twist. A miserable scream like a slaughtered pig echoed through the office. Using the momentum, I followed up with a kick to his stomach. The burly man, weighing over 100 kilos, flew backward like a torn sack, smashing through 2 office desks in a row. The remaining 3 guards slammed on the brakes in fear. They held up their batons, their legs trembling, not daring to take another step forward. Get him, you useless bastards! Chu Feifan screamed frantically. I cracked my neck, the joints making crisp popping sounds. I walked step by step toward Chu Feifan. You Don't come any closer. He backed away in terror, his back pressed tightly against the glass partition. Seeing this, Wang Qiang grabbed a chair, blocking Chu Feifan. Jibata, if you dare touch a single hair on Director Chu's head, President Liu will absolutely not let you off. The moment Lu Ruen was mentioned, Chu Feifan seemed to find his backbone again, straightening his back and yelling, "That's right, you pathetic deadbeat dog. Just wait until President Liu gets here. I'll make you kneel and kowtow to me." Right then, the screeching sound of brakes echoed from the hallway outside, followed by the rhythmic, heavy thud of footsteps, shaking the entire floor. "President Liu is here," someone exclaimed in shock. The crowd immediately parted to both sides like a receding tide. 2 rows of black-suited bodyguards wearing sunglasses roughly pushed open the doors to the office area, splitting into 2 rows. Lu Ruyan's heels clicked rhythmically as she strode in. Today she was wearing a black business suit, exuding an oppressive aura. Trailing behind her were a few foreign tailors in suits. In their hands, they carefully carried several exquisite black garment bags. Chu Feifan lunged forward as if he'd seen his own mother, scrambling to Lu Ruyan's feet. "President Liu, you're finally here." He pointed at me, playing the victim while being the aggressor. Jibata has gone crazy. He's insubordinate, refusing to follow arrangements, and even severely injured the security guards. This violent thug must be fired immediately. Throw him in jail to rot. Wang Qiang also hurriedly rushed up to chime in. "That's right, President Liu. Jibata is truly undisciplined, making a foul mess of the company." Lu Ruen stopped in her tracks. She looked down at Chu Feifan kneeling on the ground, her eyes as cold as if looking at a corpse. "Are you done talking?" Her voice wasn't loud, but it exuded a bone-chilling coldness. Chu Feifan froze, nodding hastily. "I'm done, President Liu. Please give the order." Smack. A crisp, resounding slap. Lu Ruen swung her arm and delivered a vicious slap right across Chu Feifan's face. This slap used all her strength, sending Chu Feifan flying a full 2 meters away. He crashed heavily onto the floor, half his face instantly swelling up like a pig's head. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. The entire scene was dead silent, everyone gasping in shock. Chu Feifan clutched his face, looking at Lu Ruen in disbelief. President Liu, did you hit the wrong person?" Lu Ruen didn't even bother to acknowledge him, walking straight up to me. Under everyone's astonished gazes, her eyes were red, her voice soft as if pleading. "Hubby, I'm sorry. I'm late." Humph, this hubby was like a blockbuster bomb, exploding in the office area. Wang Qiang's legs went soft, collapsing onto the floor. The colleagues who were just mocking me now had faces ashen as death, their entire bodies trembling violently. Lu Ruen turned her head, looking at the foreign tailors behind her. "What are you standing around for? Change President Ji's clothes." The foreigners hurriedly stepped forward, unzipping the dust bag, revealing a suit inside. A high-end, custom handmade Italian suit. Lu Ruen personally took the jacket, stood on her tiptoes, and gently draped it over my shoulders, even dropping to one knee. To smooth out the wrinkles on my pant legs, she looked up, her eyes filled with infatuation and a desire to please. "This suit was flown in overnight from Milan. You look so handsome in it." That humble, subservient demeanor made the people around stare with wide eyes. I watched her put on this act coldly. "The suit is all right," I said casually. A sick smile bloomed on Lu Ruen's face. "As long as you like it, I'll buy this entire brand for you." Chu Feifan lay on the ground, shaking his head frantically, pointing at me, his voice hoarse. "President Liu, he's just a useless deadbeat. Why are you calling him hubby?" Lu Ruen immediately turned her head, her gaze instantly turning ruthless. "Shut your mouth." She stood up and swept her eyes over the entire room, her voice chilling to the bone. "Today, I stand here to announce something. From now on, Mr. Jibata will hold 30% of the shares, and absolute controlling rights of the Liu Group. He is the true operator of this company. As for me, Lu Ruen, I am merely working for him." As soon as those words fell, the entire office sank into a dead silence. Only a few heavy gasps could be heard. Chu Feifan's eyes rolled back, completely collapsing on the floor. The backer he had always been so proud of, the goddess he had desperately kissed up to for the past 3 years, was actually just a high-level hired manager for this piece of trash? Ding. Detected that the host has completed a shocking face slap, reaching enough emotional points. Rewarding hacker mastery skill, God tier. A massive amount of coding knowledge instantly flooded into my brain. The corner of my mouth curled into a cold smirk. Time to pull in the net. I walked up to Chu Feifan, looking down at him from above. "System, use the absolute personnel dismissal right." I chanted silently in my heart. Ding. Command confirmed target. Chu Feifan. I stared at his utterly terrified face. "Chu Feifan, you're fired. Pack your bags and get the hell out immediately." Chu Feifan snapped his head up, hugging Lu Ruen's leg. "President Liu, you can't fire me. I've made significant contributions to the company." Lu Ruen kicked him away in disgust. President Ji's words are absolute. "Security, throw him out." The guards I had knocked down earlier had scrambled back up, wanting to make up for their failure. They dragged him away like a dead dog, hauling Chu Feifan right out. "Jibata, don't get too cocky." Chu Feifan struggled and screamed like a mad dog. "I've dedicated 5 years to this company. How dare you treat me like this?" I watched him get dragged toward the elevator doors. Suddenly, my eyes fell on the phone clutched tightly in his hand. Having received the God-tier hacker skill, my dynamic vision was incredibly sharp. Flashing on the screen was a hidden data transfer interface. The title clearly read, Liu Group Core Technical Document Vault. Downloading. My eyes narrowed slightly. This bastard wants to take a bite back before he dies. Using his director privileges, he was secretly transferring the company's core secrets. The elevator doors slowly closed. Through the gap, I saw Chu Feifan's eyes filled with venomous resentment and madness, like a poisonous snake hiding in the dark, ready to strike a fatal blow at any moment. I looked at the tightly shut elevator doors and sneered. The God-tier hacker skill in my brain operated at lightning speed. The hidden file download interface on Chu Feifan's phone was truly full of loopholes. "Hubby, what are you looking at?" Lu Ruen, like a boneless snake, wrapped herself around my arm. She followed my gaze, her eyes also turning ruthless. "Do you need me to have someone break his legs?" I brushed her hand off. "Put away that attitude of yours. I have my own ways of dealing with this kind of scum." I turned and walked toward the CEO's private elevator. "Notify the company security department. Cut all the cameras in the server room tonight. Open the door access rights. Leave a back door for Chu Feifan." Lu Ruen was stunned. She completely didn't understand this move of mine, but still nodded obediently. "Yes, I'll listen to everything hubby says." Back in the CEO's office, I sat down in the spacious leather chair, opening the top-tier computer rig in front of me. I placed my fingers on the keyboard, and the clacking of keys echoed through the office. On the screen, countless lines of green code cascaded down like a waterfall. Backed by my God-tier hacker skill, I hacked directly into Chu Feifan's personal computer. Even his hidden offshore personal accounts couldn't escape. For the past 3 years, I was the lowest errand boy in the sales department, serving tea, pouring water, and cleaning up scrap papers day in and day out. Chu Feifan thought I was just a miserable deadbeat living off a woman, so he never even put his guard up around me. The shredded ledgers he threw straight into the paper shredder, and what he thought were airtight double contracts. I had long since used my memory to piece them together into a complete chain of corruption in my head. All I needed was a miracle to nail his crimes. Now that miracle had arrived. In less than 10 minutes, ironclad proof of Chu Feifan taking kickbacks and cooking the books over the years was all gathered into an encrypted folder. Not only that, I also casually planted a backdoor tracker into the company's core server in the server room. As long as Chu Feifan dared to show up, I'd give him a taste of what it means to have no escape even with wings. 12 a.m. The Lu Group building was dead silent. I sat in the surveillance room opposite the server room, legs crossed, holding a cup of hot tea. Ruen knelt at my feet, gently massaging my legs with both hands, looking at my side profile with infatuation. Hubby, the tea is cold. Let me brew you another cup. Shut up. I kept my eyes glued to the security monitor. On the screen, a sneaky dark figure was hunching over, creeping into the server room hallway. It was Chu Feifan, dressed in black from head to toe, wearing a baseball cap and a mask. He tightly gripped a high-capacity portable hard drive in his hand. I picked up the walkie-talkie. Captain Lee, the prey has taken the bait. On the other end of the line came the voice of Captain Lee from the Economic Crimes Investigation Unit. Copy that. We've locked down all the exits. On the screen, Chu Feifan pulled out a keycard and tapped it against the card reader. The green light flashed, and the heavy metal door of the server room slowly opened. Chu Feifan pulled down his mask and let out a long breath. He walked over to the central control computer, skillfully entered the admin password, and plugged in the portable hard drive. Jibata, you useless deadbeat. Did you really think you could ride on my head? As Chu Feifan clacked away on the keyboard, he gritted his teeth and cursed. His voice, picked up by the hidden microphone in the server room, transmitted loud and clear back to the surveillance room. In the Lu Group's account, there's still 300 million in liquid funds. Plus, selling these core client documents to our rivals will net me at least 500 million with this pile of cash. I'll live like a king overseas. Once the company goes bankrupt, I'd like to see how you act tough then. The more he spoke, the more excited he got. His finger smashed down on the enter key. A progress bar popped up, transferring funds, downloading data, 10%, 30%, 60%. Chu Feifan stared intently at the screen, his eyes burning with greed. He was so thrilled that his whole body trembled. Hurry up, faster. The progress bar shot up rapidly. 80%, 95%, 99%. Chu Feifan's face was filled with manic joy as he reached out to unplug the hard drive. Right at the moment the progress bar was about to hit 100%, the computer screen suddenly flashed, and then went completely black. A massive, glaring red exclamation mark appeared, accompanied by an ear-piercing alarm. Warning, your operation has been locked. Illegal intrusion detected. The system has automatically notified the police. The extreme ecstasy on Chu Feifan's face froze instantly. His eyes widened in disbelief. What the hell is this? This is impossible. He frantically mashed the keyboard and slammed the mouse repeatedly. Move. Load, damn it. The screen didn't respond at all. Only that red text kept flashing, mocking his futility. Right then, click. The lights in the server room flicked on, blinding white light flooding the room, making it as bright as day. Chu Feifan let out a startled yelp and whipped around. The server room door was pushed open, and I strolled in at a leisurely pace, followed by a squad of fully armed police officers. President Chu, working overtime in the middle of the night? You're working too hard. I looked down at him from above, a mocking smirk playing on my lips. Chu Feifan's face was as pale as a sheet. He looked at me, then at the cops behind me, his legs turning to jelly, as he slumped onto the floor. Jibata? Why are you here? To see you off, of course. I walked up to him and kicked the portable hard drive lying on the ground, taking kickbacks from the company for the past 3 years, cooking the books. Did you really think no one knew? Chu Feifan's head snapped up, like a rabid dog whose tail had been stepped on. You're spouting bullshit. I didn't. Officers, don't listen to his nonsense. I just came here to copy some work files. I let out a cold laugh, pulled a USB drive from my pocket, and tossed it to Captain Lee. Captain Lee, inside is the complete evidence of all his crimes over the past 3 years. The South City project 3 years ago. He took a 2 million bribe. The building materials transaction 2 years ago. He colluded with the supplier to forge receipts, embezzling 5 million from the company. Furthermore, tonight, that locked computer is the proof. He was trying to siphon 300 million of the company's funds and steal core trade secrets. The amount is absolutely massive. With every word I spoke, Chu Feifan's face grew a shade paler. His whole body convulsed like he was having a seizure. No, it's not true. Jibata, you're framing me. You damn gigolo. He suddenly scrambled to his feet, pulled out a box cutter from God knows where, and lunged at me like a madman. I'll kill you. I stood my ground, not even blinking an eye. I didn't even need to lift a finger. 2 officers lunged forward in a single stride, executed a grappling move, and pinned him hard against the freezing floor. Clang! The box cutter dropped to the ground. The cold handcuffs clicked shut, instantly locking his arms behind his back. Stay down. Don't move, the officer shouted loudly. Chu Feifan struggled desperately, his face pressed tightly against the floor, his eyes filled with despair and venom. Jibata, you're gonna die a horrible death. President Lu won't let you off. She'll definitely strangle you to death. I slowly squatted down, looking at his pathetic, defeated state. It was no different from looking at a pile of stinking trash. Do you still not get it? I patted his cheek. I intentionally left that security loophole for you tonight. That entire computer was a bait specially prepared just for you. Chu Feifan's pupils shrank. He finally realized it. From start to finish, he was nothing but a clown, dancing in the palm of my hand. You set me up. Captain Lee waved his hand. Take him away. The police hauled up the limp, mud-like Chu Feifan and dragged him out the door. His desperate screams echoed down the hallway, growing fainter and fainter, until they disappeared completely. I stood up and dusted off my hands. This malignant tumor had finally been uprooted. Ding. Congratulations, host, for successfully sending the villain to prison. Spectacular turnaround achieved. Emotional value has surged. Reward. God-tier investment vision. Can accurately see through the profit margins of any commercial project. The system's notification ringing in my head put me in an incredibly good mood. I turned and walked out of the server room. Ruen was waiting for me at the end of the hallway. She looked at me, a sick, obsessive fervor sparkling in her eyes. Hubby, you look so sexy just now. She stepped forward, about to link her arm with mine. Just as I was about to push her away, the phone in my pocket suddenly buzzed. I took out my phone and unlocked the screen. It was a new message. Sender. Su Nguyen Wan. Brother G, thank you for the takeout yesterday. The hospital just notified me that they found a matching cornea donor. Once my eyes are fully healed, the first person I want to see is you. Looking at this message, my tense nerves finally relaxed a little. Nguyen Yuan's eyes were saved. Right at that moment, a bone-chilling aura hit me from the side. I whipped my head around. Ruen had leaned in close without me noticing. Her eyes were glued to my phone screen, fixated on the name, Hai Nguyen. The face that was just filled with infatuation was now twisted into something hideous. The sick obsession in her eyes that I had just tried to suppress, along with her possessiveness, erupted like a volcano. She fiercely gripped my wrist, her nails digging deep into my flesh. Hubby. Her voice was hoarse, carrying a hair-raising smile. Why is this blind bitch still clinging to you? How about I gouge out her new eyes, okay? Okay? Ruen's voice was like a venomous ice blade. She stared intently at my phone screen, a sick madness churning deep in her eyes. I didn't shake her off like I used to. Instead, I flipped my hand and tightly grasped her freezing fingers, intertwining our fingers. Let's go. I pulled her along and strode outside. Ruen was stunned. She stumbled to keep up with my pace. Go where? Where are you taking me? To see her. I replied without looking back. Ruen's breathing instantly became heavy. She stopped dead in her tracks, pulling back with all her might. I'm not going. Are you trying to go to that blind bitch? Jibata, don't even think about escaping me. I turned around, cupped her cheeks with both hands, and forced her to look me straight in the eyes. Ruen, look closely. Whose hand am I holding right now? Her eyes grew red, biting her lower lip without saying a word. Follow me. Today we're going to settle everything once and for all. Half an hour later, the Maybach pulled up in front of the blind massage parlor. Ruen sat in the passenger seat, her entire body tense. Her hands were twisted tightly together, her knuckles turning white, looking exactly like a lioness ready to pounce and tear at any moment. I pushed the car door open, walked around to the other side, helped her out, and pushed open the old glass door of the massage parlor. The wind chimes let out a crisp times ding-a-ling. Welcome. Would you like a massage? Su Nuanuan groped her way out from the back. Ruen suddenly grabbed my hand back, her nails digging into my palm once again. I patted her hand gently, soothing her emotions. Nuanuan, it's me, Jibata. Su Nuanuan stopped in her tracks, a joyful smile blooming on her face. Brother G, you're here. She followed the sound of my voice and stepped forward. Ruen immediately took a step forward, blocking me, just like a wild beast protecting its food. I wrapped my arm around Ruen's waist, pulling her close to my chest. Nuanuan, I got your message. Congratulations on finally getting a matching cornea. Su Nuanuan nodded, her eyes slightly red. Thankfully, the hospital notified me, saying a kind benefactor sponsored the surgery costs. I pulled out a black card and handed it to the bodyguard behind me. Go contact the director of the City Central Hospital, arrange the top team of specialists for Miss Su, and use the best medical supplies. Deduct all expenses from my personal account. The bodyguard respectfully took the black card, turned around, and went to do it immediately. Su Nuanuan stood rooted to the spot in shock, her hands nervously wringing the hem of her shirt. Brother G, how can I accept this? I can't take your money. For that meal the other day, you gave me an apple. My voice was extremely calm, along with that tissue. This is the repayment you deserve. I tightened my grip around Ruen's waist, looking down at the stiff woman in my arms. Nuanuan, I came today to introduce someone to you. Su Nuanuan tilted her head slightly, perking up her ears to listen. I raised my voice, every word striking through the quiet atmosphere of the massage parlor. This is Ruen, the wife I love deeply. Ruen trembled violently in my arms. She snapped her head up in disbelief, staring deeply into my eyes, the madness and hostility buried in her eyes, completely shattered in this moment, turning into large teardrops that rolled down her face. Su Nuanuan was also stunned, but soon after, she broke into a serene smile. Brother G, sister-in-law must be a gentle and beautiful person. I wish you both eternal happiness. I nodded, not wanting to say any more unnecessary words, so I held Ruen tightly, turned around, and walked out of the massage parlor, completely severing any possible threads that could lead to misunderstandings. The moment we stepped out of the shop, Ruen suddenly broke free from my embrace. She threw herself at me, wrapped her arms tightly around my neck, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed me frantically. This kiss had no rhythm to it, exuding a heavy, possessive desire, and the manic joy of losing something and finding it again. Passers-by turned their heads to look, but she didn't care in the slightest. Tears, carrying a salty taste, spread between our lips. A long while later, she finally let go of me, panting heavily, and buried her face in my chest, rubbing against it like an obedient cat. Hubby, was what you just said true? The wife you love deeply. Her voice trembled, carrying a cautious, probing tone. I stroked her long hair. Do I need to say it again? No need. She snapped her head up, her eyes astonishingly bright. I've etched it into my heart. In this life, you're only allowed to love me. The system notification rang out right on cue. Detected that the Yandere female lead's inner knot has been completely untied. Sense of security reached 100%. Congratulations, host, for receiving the ultimate reward. One god-tier medical team summoning card. A smile played on my lips, just in time to use it. Half a month later, in the VIP ward on the top floor of the City Central Hospital, sunlight flooded the room. My little sister, wearing a hospital gown, was sitting on the edge of the bed packing her bags. Her complexion was rosy, completely devoid of the sickly, dying look she had before. The medical skills of the god-tier medical team were truly overpowered. In just half a month, they successfully completed the kidney and bone marrow transplants, and the surgeries were absolutely flawless. Today was the day she fully recovered and was being discharged. The door was pushed open, and Ruen walked in carrying bags of all sizes. Today, she was wearing a youthful, comfortable loungewear set, her hair tied in a loose bun at the nape of her neck, without putting on any airs of a female CEO. Sis, I had someone pack up all these nutritional supplements. When we get home, your sister-in-law will simmer soup for you every day, okay? As she spoke, she eagerly helped my sister tidy up the bed. My sister looked at her, her eyes curving into a smile as she called out, "Thank you, sister-in-law." Ruen's movements paused, her eyes instantly turning red. She turned away and secretly wiped the corners of her eyes. For the past half-month, she had been tirelessly caring for her day and night in the ward, looking after my sister in every possible way, using real actions to make up for her past mistakes. I leaned against the doorframe, watching this heartwarming scene, and the last sharp block of ice in my heart completely melted away. Done packing? It's time to go home. I stepped inside. Ruen immediately ran over to greet me, naturally wrapping her arms around mine. Hubby, the car is already waiting downstairs. I nodded and pulled a neatly folded document from my pocket. Before we go home, there's one more thing we need to do. When Ruen saw the document, her face instantly turned pale. She recognized it. It was the matrilocal marriage agreement she had forced me to sign 3 years ago. Hubby, you. Her voice trembled as she tightly gripped my sleeve. Do you still want to leave? I was wrong. I'll listen to you about everything from now on. Please don't abandon me. Seeing that she was about to have an episode, I openly, right in front of her and my sister, grabbed the crease of the agreement with both hands. Rip! The sound of tearing paper echoed clearly in the hospital room. I casually tossed the shredded agreement into the trash can. Ruen was dumbfounded, and even my sister stopped what she was doing. I took a step back and pulled a red velvet box from my inner suit pocket. Click. The box opened, and a dazzling diamond ring sat neatly inside. Under Ruen's shocked gaze, I got down on one knee. The past 3 years were a false start. That piece of paper could never buy a person's heart. I looked up into her tear-filled eyes. Right now, I, Jibata, as a man, am proposing to you once again. Ruen, will you marry me? Inside the hospital room, it was so quiet that only Ruen's soft sobbing could be heard. She covered her mouth, nodding frantically, tears streaming down her face like a broken string of pearls. I do. I do. She threw herself into my arms, her sobbing voice echoing in my ear. Jibata, don't you ever dream of getting rid of me in this lifetime. I smiled and slipped the ring onto her ring finger, then pulled her into a tight embrace. Alright, I'll never let you go for the rest of my life. 1 month later, at the Lu Group headquarters. On the giant electronic screen, the company's latest announcement scrolled by. Lu Group is officially renamed G Lu Group. Mr. G Bada assumes the position of chairman of the board and chief executive officer, CEO. Inside the chairman's office, I was sitting in the massive executive chair, flipping through the mergers and acquisitions files in my hands. Ruen was clinging to me like a koala. She peeled a grape and fed it to me. Hubby, can you attend the multinational meeting this afternoon for me, please? She nuzzled my neck affectionately. The Jilu Group is all yours now. I just want to be a pampered little boss lady who sits back and enjoys the riches. I just want to be a pampered little boss lady who sits back and enjoys the riches. I swallowed the grape, pulled her tightly against my chest, and flipped over, pinning her against the genuine leather sofa. You just want to sit back and enjoy the riches, huh? I pinched her chin, a wicked smirk playing on my lips. Then we'll have to see how well you perform tonight. Lu Ruin's cheeks flushed bright red, but a flash of extreme excitement flickered in her eyes. She took the initiative, wrapping her arms around my neck and offering up her red lips. Sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a glow on our intertwined silhouettes. This high society game, ignited by humiliation and madness, ultimately concluded with my absolute conquest, drawing a perfectly flawless end to it all.